Hi everyone, I'm Father James Mallon. For those who don't know me, I'm the pastor of the new parish in Dartmouth, the newly founded parish of Dartmouth, Our Lady of Guadalupe, composed of what was St. Peter's Parish, Immaculate Conception Parish in Woodside, St. Paul's Parish, and here where we are right now at St. Anthony's Parish in Dartmouth. So I'm new, I'm a Dartmouth boy. I grew up in Dartmouth, went to Prince Andrew High School. It's great to be back here, and I landed here as pastor on August 1st, and since that time, a lot of things have happened. And one of the most exciting things that have happened is this opportunity, what I really believe to be a God-given opportunity that brings me to why we're here today in St. Anthony's Hall, the newly renovated St. Anthony's Hall, where the new Dartmouth North Christian Food Bank is finding its home. And it's why I'm here today with Pastor Gavin. Pastor Gavin, great to have you with us here today.
Thank you.
I'd love you to introduce yourself to the folks, for those who might not know you.
Well, thank you very much. And this is a God moment as far as we're concerned also. My name is Pastor Gavin McCombie. I've been pastoring at First Baptist Church for the last 12 years. I arrived here in the city in 2008 with my wife and two boys. We are not homegrown. We're actually from Toronto, but we have called this place home for the last 12 plus years, and it is home to us. Privileged to be serving in this neighborhood. Seeing my boys grew up. They went to Dartmouth High. We had some interesting times with sports with your old school, but we've thoroughly enjoyed being here. And this, as I said before, is a God moment to have, to be able to partner with Father James and with our community and with other church communities. I think that this is not only what's needed for our time, but interestingly enough, especially with COVID, especially with all the upheaval, some of what's going on over in the States and even here, I believe we are primed to see this type of partnership between denominations, like-minded, because we believe that we worship one God, one Spirit, one church. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you. And you've been at First Baptist in Dartmouth for about 12 years, but you're also kind of new pastor too, aren't you?
New pastor. Interestingly, I came to this community as the youth and young adult pastor, and then I became co-pastor with Pastor Martin. And Pastor Martin has now moved on. So here I find very surprised in the last 6 months. So
when did you actually start? When did you actually become the you say head pastor or the?
We're calling myself lead pastor.
Lead pastor.
Since August.
August when?
August 2020. This is
but what day of August?
I don't have a date of August.
August 1st?
Was it August 1st?
Just say yes.
I'll say August 1st.
Hey, we became pastors the same day.
There you go.
You're a little slow there,
I'm
right?
a bit on the slow side.
I was trying to lead you on.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
No, I would love to hear. So this story really begins with what was happening in your church, because, what we now have, what we're looking at right now, it did start with us. It came as a surprise to us. Tell us the story. What was going on? What led you guys to reach out to us?
Well, interesting. Surprise to you, and in some ways a surprise to us. We are in transition. Not only I've become a new pastor at this church in some ways, but we are building a new building up on Lancaster Ridge. So we're moving from a downtown location. We've been there for 177 years this year. And even though we believe that we've had a calling there, God has now called us to really, in some ways, plant a church, relocate in Lancaster Ridge. And so we've begun that. If you go up to Lancaster, you're going to see all the trucks in there. We're rebuilding. And we've actually let go of our downtown church location. And this is where this partnership comes in. We were trying to figure out what we were going to do with the food bank. We believe not only in the food bank, it's part of our calling. And we believe that the people still the community still needs the food bank. We weren't sure where that was going to happen. And lo and behold, I don't know how Liz did it, but Liz Jackson, who is the director of our food bank, somehow heard news about this place called St. Anthony's, hidden away in North Dartmouth.
Well, see, what happened was Liz works very closely with a Catholic woman from St. Vincent de Paul Parish in Dartmouth, who is the sister of one of our parishioners who's on my leadership team, my senior leadership team, Dr. Francis Moriarty. And they made the connection. So I got a phone call one day and it was like, Father James, the folks at First Baptist, they've been running this food bank for years, and most of the people they serve actually come from North Dartmouth, and they're losing their building, and they're wanting to know if they could rent St. Anthony's Hall. And everything in me said, that makes no sense. Like, how on earth could we as a church charge money for a church to feed the poor? It's like, we can't do that. That would be so wrong. Right. And here's the other part of it is, since coming into the parish and with the amalgamation, we've been through our own journey. It's been very difficult. 4 distinct parishes becoming one, and COVID has kind of fast-tracked the whole thing, brought us under one roof, and we've had to make some very difficult decisions around our properties because of finances. But we always had this sense that what is unique about our new parish, this big parish that goes from Shearwater to Burnside and includes Micmac Mall, is the North Dartmouth presence. And surely we really felt that whatever our future holds, there'll be some kind of missionary, there must be some kind of missionary presence in the North Dartmouth, which is about serving the poor, not just their physical needs, but serving their spiritual needs as well, like speaking to the whole person. So we've been praying about that, talking about it. Already things were starting to happen in this location, because in the old rectory where the priests used to live, we have a community of men who are living in a kind of a covenant faith community who are recovering from addictions. The basement is we have community chaplaincy services have moved in, and they do prisoner reintegration. We have a furniture bank in the basement of this building, and we also have a faith-based recovery group, a 12-step program that was meeting in this building. And we just had a sense that this location could be an incredible place for outreach to the poor. So in the midst of this, we get this phone call, and it's like, this is a no-brainer. Yeah. So we had the meeting, and we said, well, no, we won't rent the hall to you. We'll give it to you. And if you let us do it with you.
And if I can, and so the message came back. I had no clue other than I trust Liz. She is just an incredible director for us at our food bank. And so I've just loved partnering with her. And so she came back, and first of all, she was excited. She sort of said, we were worried about Liz. We were worried about what she was thinking about the food bank. And so we said, Liz, we'll work it out. So she emailed us and said, Gavin, I just had heard about St. Anthony's, and they might be interested in partnering with us. And guess what? They're not asking for money. They're literally saying, we're not going to ask you to pay rent. We want you to partner with us. And so all of a sudden there was this excitement with Liz and with our leadership at our church, not believing our ears, first of all, but hoping that this was actually true. And so we just said, Liz, go for it. If you can make this happen, go for it. And just day after day, week after week, Liz just got more excited. And she used the words, this is a God thing. This has to be a God thing. And for Liz, it wasn't just the partnership with another denomination. That was a big thing for her. But it was also the fact that our food bank, which was downtown, and then was going to get relocated to Lancaster Ridge, almost outside of the location. Yeah. She actually said, and not only are we partnering with the Catholic Church, we are actually going to be living right in the neighborhood and serving.
But here's the thing, Gavin, as well. Like we as Catholics in the diocese are going through this restructuring for the sake of mission, because we're recognizing for too long we've sacrificed the mission to keep our stuff, to keep our buildings, to keep our ways of doing things. And that's got to change because the world around us has changed. And it's not just Catholics that are going through it. All the denominations, Christian traditions are struggling with the same thing. But I think this kind of reorganizing and rethinking how we do mission, the point is that in spite of our theological differences and the real things that divide us, there's infinitely more that unites us than divides us. And one of the things that we're really together on is the call to mission, to reach the least and the lost, as they said. Jesus said, I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick and in prison, and you visited me. Whatsoever you do to the least of these, you do to me. Outreach to the least. Jesus also said that a critical part of the church's mission is to go and make disciples of all people. And that's about, as Jesus himself said, the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. And that's maybe a word that some people might struggle with. It sounds kind of judgy, but we're not judging anyone. We're just saying that when you find Jesus, you come home. And that's a core Christian conviction. And so part of our understanding of mission is that we shouldn't separate these things. The church's desire to be an instrument of justice and supporting the poor and making this world a better place are not at odds with the call to make disciples and to grow disciples. And we've got to do this together. And as a church, we've got to lead with love. We've got to lead by serving people. And I think an important thing that happened in that conversation is that we discovered a very common heart, both with Liz and with her team and with you as well.
Yeah, and I think the common theme is Jesus. Yeah. I think the common theme is exactly what you just said, that it's not just about the food. This is so important in our community. And I think that after COVID, this will become even more important. I really believe we're heading into an era where we better have strong food banks, and we better be able to meet the needs of some of the depression that's coming our way, some of the broken families that are going to come our way, the mental health that's going to come our way. That's going to be real. But what's even more real is if we don't introduce them, as you said, to Jesus and the heart of Jesus, then we're not doing what we've been called to do.
And that doesn't mean that we're, what people might see sometimes in movies. We're not hitting people over the head with Bibles or somehow saying, we're not going to give you stuff unless you pray. No, not at all, not at all. We want to serve and love people, and then at the same time not be embarrassed to say the reason we do this is because of the Lord, and we would love to, because He's actually the bread of life. Yeah. He satisfies the deepest hungers of our life. One of the things too is, again, we kind of fast-tracked this a little bit, more than we would normally do. In one sense, you could say, well, that wasn't very wise, but sometimes I think we need to be fools for Christ to do the work of Christ, because you guys had a window where there was definite need. We had, for the most part, an empty building here. Well, how could you say? It just seemed, how could this be wrong? How could this be wrong? No. And added to that, we had a common vision. And the vision isn't just about a food bank. It's about, I think, two primary things with this location in North Dartmouth is that the potential to grow and expand the way that we serve the poor, and also the need for partnership. Because one thing I noticed is that the days of every church, whether every parish or every church in different traditions, are off doing their own thing in silos, and this is our little project, and go leave us alone. We just want to do it ourselves. Those days are over, because our world needs a common witness, and we need to partner to come together, and also for very practical reasons. In many churches, the wonderful volunteers who have served for years and years and years, guess what? They're still serving. They're still the same people. You said your church had been around for 177 years. Maybe you've got some of the original members still serving, but we've got a lot of people who serve faithfully, and they've worked hard.
Yes.
But they're also tired, and they're fewer. It's like we need to give a common witness. And the future, as we look into the future, we can't keep just doing our own thing. We've got to come together.
Yeah, and to me, it's about expanding Jesus' kingdom and what His intent was. I think that every era we go a step further. Hopefully we don't take too many steps back. But I think that in our era, what we have to offer is exactly this type of idea that you and I, different denominations, can break bread together. Oh, yeah. That you and I can share the cup together. And then that you and I, and when I say you and I, I'm saying representing our communities, can actually partner together to begin to serve as Jesus wanted to serve. We haven't even really gotten close to the fulfillment of what Jesus came for.
No.
And I believe we are taking the step forward now as different denominations to begin that process or continue that process of moving forward with his kingdom. I really believe, and I think you believe, that that is the voice that we have. If we don't do this, then we really won't have a voice with sharing the good news and inviting people into.
Jesus said that our visible unity would be directly related to our ability to witness to him as truly being from the Father. You know, Father, may they be so one in us, Jesus prayed, that the world may come to believe that I am in you and that you are in me. And so this is a divine commandment. We have to love each other, okay? we gotta really, in spite of our history of how we failed this in the past, we've got to be together. We're not blurring the differences, but it's not just that we believe in the same God. We worship the same Lord. We have the same Lord, the same Savior. We're members of the one body. So we've got to do this together, and we've got to. I don't think any of us are pretending there's not going to be challenges in this. You know, one of the things that's interesting is the way that we're changing the name, right? So this food bank is now going to be called the Dartmouth North Christian Food Bank, and it used to be called
First Baptist Food Bank.
So how's that going down in your church?
and I think that's the learning curve for us.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I have no problem with people being challenged because they were so invested. But what tends to happen when we're invested is we take ownership, and we take ownership of the name, and we end up losing the fact that this was Jesus' mission anyway.
Yes.
And so it is a challenge for us, not a huge challenge. And I'm really delighted to say that as people have heard the vision, they've also then gotten on with the vision. But it is a challenge for us to really know that it's no longer going to be called. What I've been telling our congregation is we have not lost our food bank. What we've done is we've expanded the food bank, and we've expanded into the neighborhood that needs the food bank the most. So this has been an important thing to challenge our congregation with.
And we've said the same here to the folks here. We've not lost the hall. We still have use of the hall, and we've got a renovated hall. And best of all, we're now operating this, because I believe church should be like a beehive of mission activity. That's the way things are. Now, one of the other challenges we've got is that obviously in our parish, and even in the 4 individual parishes that made up the new parish, there's a lot of different ministries to the poor happening. St. Vincent de Paul's Society is an amazing organization that works in many Catholic churches and often do a lot of visits to homes and bring food. But what's unique to this parish is that in 2 of our locations, we actually had small food banks. In fact, there's a medium-sized food bank that operates out of St. Peter's Church and has been for years, again, run by faithful people, you know, all kinds of food. And when people heard about this, they immediately were saying, well, what does that mean about what we're doing? Does that mean we have to shut down? No, it doesn't mean that. Keep doing what you're doing. But, you know, as we move into this new reality and this new era, and especially after post-COVID, we can't cling to everything we've been doing in the ways we've been doing it. We've got to be open to that change, but we're going to discern that together. And it doesn't mean that everyone has to stop doing everything they were doing before. This is going to be gradual. It's going to happen gently. And in the new year, we're going to be forming a steering kind of committee, not to manage in any way the operations here, but with members of both of our churches to say, you know, let's create a plan. Let's move this forward and create a plan. Like let's help this to move forward.
Well, and you and I have talked that this isn't just about your community or my community. This is for the community, and we're hoping that this volunteering, this ownership will be a variety of communities. You were talking to me earlier about how many other churches can come on board. We talked about sort of the influence of the schools. You know, I've been with Dartmouth High on the football team. They just came and helped us move all the boxes from First Baptist into storage. So the football team wants a part to play in our community. They would love to volunteer here. And so I believe that we have the opportunity, as we bring the steering committee, as we flesh out the vision, to say to the community at large, who else wants to be a part of this? Our young people are waiting for churches to begin to drop the things that have put walls up between us. They really are, and they will not join with us if we continue in the silos that you had talked about earlier. They will only join us if we begin to lay aside the things that really don't count for Jesus. Right. And I'm excited that this is just the beginning. And will we have struggles? Absolutely. Did the people of Israel move into the promised land without those struggles? Absolutely. But do we trust that God will lead us? Absolutely. I really believe that this is a God thing, and it will be by his Holy Spirit that we will discern together, that we will move forward together, and that we will see a variety of people from the community be a huge part of this.
All I can say to that is amen. And I think that is a perfect point to close this conversation. It's beautiful, beautiful and beautifully said. Thank you, Pastor Gavin, my new friend Gavin, who we're common new pastors in August 1st, 2020. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for getting into this crazy idea and going forward and trusting. And I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, and on behalf of our community, and really the community at large, Father James, more because we know of your work. We are delighted that you and your group are here. And I think we're going to learn from you. We're going to learn what it means to further the kingdom of Jesus. And we are excited. So thank you.
Thank you.